in your own way you can serve God. Sharing the gospel is always about sharing life, your life. Whatever that life is. If you love basketball, if you love drawing and art, if you love dance, whatever it is, let that life bring life to others. God's life. Use it for His glory. You see, it's about teaching people how to live. How do you respond when somebody treats you wrong? When you get upset, we kind of pout, right? It's like, you're my feelings. Right? And everybody's like, are you serious? You're going to whine about that? There are some people who are not Christians who have a better attitude about life than the Christians do. We think, my life stinks and God hates me because, I couldn't score a goal. Really? Really? Come on. Is your mission not bigger than scoring a goal? So what's your mission? What is your mission in life? Just to be the best player on the team? To get an award? Or is your mission to influence the people on your team for God's glory? What's your mission? That's what I want to challenge you to think about this weekend. What's your mission? What is it that God wants you to accomplish with your time right now? Jesus said, go and make disciples. So disciple basically equals a student. He says, go and make students who want to follow me. You're surrounded by students every day. You go to school with them. You're sitting beside them. So he says, go and make people who want to follow me. Influence your friends so that they will want to follow me. Go and make disciples. Listen, every mission requires a missionary. If you have a mission, if you discover a mission this weekend, if God lays something on your heart, like working with the homeless or dealing with poverty or dealing with water or whatever it is, I don't care what it is. Whatever your mission is makes you a missionary. Missionary is not a term that's reserved for special people who just go somewhere. Listen, if you're a person who sells out for Jesus, then that makes you a missionary because you have a mission. And once you have a mission, now you've got something to live for. Now you've got something to die for. Let me ask you, what are you living for? Living to beat that video game? It's like you get a brand new video game, you beat it, in 2 days. Mission accomplished. Then what? Why not take a mission that's going to take a lifetime, that you would give yourself a lifetime to accomplish? And say, this is worth every ounce of my life. Every field needs workers. Every field. The soccer field needs workers. The teaching, the public school field needs workers. I'm not just saying you got to go and be a preacher, you got to go and be a pastor or something like that. I'm saying, look, whatever it is, whatever you like to do, go and do it for God's glory. Whatever that is, serve the Lord because every field needs workers. The last thing is this. Every prayer could have you for an answer. Every prayer could have you for an answer. Did you know that there are kids, moms and dads, places like Niger, where it's probably the greatest, and the most famine-oriented place in the world. You got places like down in South Africa, where there are just tons and tons of homeless orphans because their parents died from AIDS. It's like this, basically a nation of people who have no one. And they're crying out to God, and they're saying, God, send somebody to us. God, would you meet our needs? God, would you help? God's like, I'd love to. But the people I keep calling, they won't go. The people that I want to be the answer to that prayer, they won't go. They've got too many other things to do, so I'm sorry. You're going to be an orphan. I'm sorry, you're not going to have food today. Because the people who have the most resources are doing the least. Don't let that be the case. Every prayer could have you for an answer. I know that it's easy for us to sit and pray and say, God, I pray for the missionaries. God, I pray for the people in Africa. I pray for the people in Nigeria. I pray. And God's like, quit praying. Go. God is saying, you're the answer. You want me to send somebody else, and God's like, I'm trying to send you. Because you're the answer to this problem. What about your school? Bullying is on the rise. It's ridiculous. Violence, guns. I mean, there was a kid the other day. I was talking to some kids in North Carolina. This kid who was in 5th grade brought a gun to school, threatened him. I mean, this is a kid I know personally. And I'm thinking, holy cow. The kid in Miami that I know personally, who went to a Christian school. And when he was there through 6th grade, in the 8th grade, this kid who had a great foundation stabbed somebody to death in the bathroom in the 8th grade and now is serving life in prison. Listen, you're surrounded by stuff all the time. But if you don't choose to make a difference, if you as the Christians don't stand up and do something, then who is? If you want to be an agent of change, you've got to be a change agent. You've got to be someone who sells out and says, God, here am I. Let me be the answer. Let me make a difference right here where I'm at. I will start even in my school. Watch this video.
Here, this map is going to be your guide to North Shore. Now, where you sit in the cafeteria is crucial because you got everybody there. You got your freshmen, ROTC guys, preps, JV jocks, Asian nerds, cool Asians, varsity jocks, unfriendly black hotties, girls who eat their feelings, girls who don't eat anything, desperate wannabes, burnouts, sexually active bandies, the greatest people you will ever meet, and the worst. Beware of the plastic.
This might be what your school is like, where it's all segregated and you've got all these people you know by groups and by how they dress and how they talk and their demographic and what their socioeconomic background is and all this kind of stuff, and you may have your own little group. But just what if God says, I want you to leave your comfort zone and go befriend somebody who's not like you? Just what if God's saying, you know what, that table over there, they don't know Jesus. Would you be willing to go that far? Just a couple steps away. You don't have to go around the world to make a difference. You just got to go to the next table over. What's your mission? What is God asking you to do? What is God challenging you to do with your life? You can make a huge difference if you choose to. So, that's what I have to say. Let me take some time and answer any questions or have any comments from anybody that would like. Anybody have any questions about anything concerning missions or football? Whatever.
How did you know at, 18 that you wanted to go?
Well, I didn't really know, I guess. For me, and there are some people that I think do know, that God does give them a specific, calling to a certain place. For me, it's been more gradual, where it's like, and like I was saying last night, it's kind of like just walking with Jesus every day. And I don't necessarily have like these plans of where I'm going to go or what I'm going to do. It's kind of like I get up every day and I'm thinking, okay, what's going to happen today? And some of these things, all of these things have been things that have kind of come to me, where I wasn't seeking to go to Africa, but because I was at my church and a guy came, I said, I'll go. The same thing with El Salvador. I didn't plan on going to El Salvador, but because of a connection I had in Miami and this guy who saw me do what I do, he said, hey, I'd like to take you down there. I said, I'll go. And so almost every instance for me has not been that I've gone out and said, I'm going to go somewhere, as much as God saying, hey, if I give you an opportunity, would you do it? And I said, yeah. And so, I'd say that to you guys, that it's not like you have to have your whole life planned out or mapped out. A lot of it is just taking advantage of the opportunities that God gives you. Because again, we have more opportunities in this country to go and do things than anywhere else. And we are not at a lack of resources and opportunities. And so, if you have a passion for something, then pursue that passion. But if you don't know where to go, or you don't know what to do, then I would just pray and say, God, send somebody my way that can help me know where you want me to go. Anything else?
I think that so many times all of us want to do something, we want to go to the next table or the process, but how do you do that, and how do you not do that? What do you avoid and what do you do?
Well, I think, middle school and high school, and obviously it's changed a lot over the years, but especially nowadays, middle school and high school, it's really about being cool. And there's such a cool factor that you have to deal with your image and reputation and all that kind of stuff. And I think really what you have to deal with on a personal level is you've got to get to the place where you don't care what anybody else is going to think. It's not a matter of being cool, it's a matter of being obedient. And so I think you have to wrestle with that first in your own heart and mind. Is, God, I will be obedient. I think that the next thing you need to do is just build some friendships and relationships with people who are not like you. And as you do that, if you play sports especially, there are probably several different people on the team who are not necessarily like you. And so I would start with the group of people that you're already around. Start branching out and making friends with people. Facebook is another thing. I mean, there are always connections, that you can make. This friend recommends this friend or whatever. And start building some friendships with people through things like that are non-threatening. You can build some friendships, get to know some people through Facebook or whatever, and begin to develop that relationship. And then, when you see them at school or when you see them, at the mall or whatever, say hi. Be nice. When you run into somebody at a place, whether it's a birthday party or whatever, take advantage of that opportunity of being in large group settings where you can meet some friends and meet some people that are not like you. And then when you see them at school, it's a little less threatening because you have something outside of school in common.
Why skating?
That's a funny thing because I'm not a skater. I did some skateboarding when I was younger, but I got involved in skateboarding ministry because there were some kids that I was hanging out with who were in skateboarding. It's the reason I had my ears pierced, not because, I thought, I get my ears pierced. It's just when I was working at a church, there were a lot of kids there who had their ears pierced, so I got my ears pierced, just to try to identify. We started a skateboard ministry because in Tennessee, where I'm living now, the bulk of the kids we were working with were skaters. And I didn't know anything about skateboarding, and I was like, but I don't have to know anything about it. All I have to do is provide a space. All I have to do is provide materials. All I have to do is show up. They'll come and skate. They'll do it. It's kind of like the Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come. And that's what I did. We started just building ramps, and kids did. They just came by the droves and hung out. So for me, it's all about whatever your group or your area is into. If they're into paintballing, then man, get into paintballing. If they're into skating, get into skating. If they're into basketball or sports, then build that ministry with whatever you have in that area. So that's why. But it is one of the fastest growing sports worldwide. I think it's like number 5 or 6. Anything else? Well, it's 10:48. Appreciate you guys. You're dismissed. We'll see you later on this evening.